Hi everyone, welcome back to DimitriTube. So if you've been following my channel for a while now, you all know I very much enjoy watching women argue. And this week I have gone to a very niche corner of the internet where an umbrella has had the dance world completely shook and arguing for days. Let's talk about it. Last week was the UDA national competition. This is where the nation's top college dance teams all compete for the title of number one. And this particular year, 2025, everyone was arguing over an umbrella. Let me explain. For this dance competition, teams from all over the country all head to Florida to compete for the title of number one. And I'm pretty sure it's in Florida at Disney World. I'm pretty sure it's at Disney World, not Disneyland. It's like the movie Bring It On, but for dancing instead of cheerleading. And some people even refer to it as the Dance Super Bowl. And for the purposes of this video, we're only gonna talk about the D1A divisions. So for the Universal Dance and Cheer Association, there are a lot of divisions. There are so many divisions. Like initially I got confused because of how many divisions there are, but there's division D1, but there's also D1A. And D1A is basically just a larger school and larger in terms of people. The D1A division, those schools have large student body populations. And because of this, their teams tend to have more people, but not always. So some examples of schools would be LSU, Ohio State, University of Minnesota. And for the competition, there are three main categories: jazz, pom, and hip hop. And actually there's a fourth category, game day. This is typically the dance a team would do during an actual football game, I guess to get the crowd hype, but nobody really cares about that category. So for this video, we're only gonna talk about jazz, pom, and hip hop. And y'all, this competition is no joke. I saw some of the most insane routines, and these dancers are straight up athletes. And these dancers are not just practicing here and there during basketball games. These dancers are very studio trained and they have years and years of training, and you could tell due to how much technique they have. But going back to the umbrellas, Louisiana State University, also known as LSU, also known as the Tiger Girls, did a hip hop routine with umbrellas. This was easily one of the most creative routines, and it was also one of the most entertaining routines of the entire competition, and yet the Tiger Girls got sixth place. And just a heads up, I'm not gonna play any of the routines with the original music. If you wanna hear the routines with the original music, you gotta go to like TikTok or something, because YouTube will clock me for copyright. Now, for the most part, everyone on the internet thinks that they received sixth place due to all of the small mishaps that happened with the umbrellas. And this is even more of a gag because last year, the Tiger Girls placed first place in hip hop and third place in jazz. And overall, this is a team that's normally expected to land somewhere in the top three annually because their team is so amazing and they deliver basically every year. Now, as an expert in dance myself, and by expert, I mean, I've watched multiple seasons of America's Best Dance Crew. I watched a lot of seasons of So You Think You Can Dance, and I was also on my high school step team. So I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all my thoughts. And if you have not done so already, go ahead and pound that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And this umbrella fiasco had the dance world in complete shambles because everybody got on TikTok and started giving their opinion on who they felt like should have been on top, and theories as to why LSU got sixth place, along with why other teams placed how they did. And this was not just for the hip hop category. People online also gave their thoughts about jazz and pom as well. I'll post the link below if you want to watch the LSU dance routine for yourselves, but I do want to talk about it. LSU did a beautiful routine using umbrellas to Justin Timberlake's song Cry Me a River. And I do gotta clock LSU for using Justin Timberlake's song. This song is just so overused. And don't get me wrong, it was a beautiful routine, but like I'm just so tired of hearing and seeing the song in the dance world. Now, the problem with umbrellas, hold on, is that better? Now, the problem with umbrellas is that umbrellas are a prop. And the problem with props is props can be very unreliable. And as you can see in this routine, there are a few mishaps with the umbrellas due to the fact that it's a prop that sometimes you just can't control. And the LSU Tiger Girls did such a good job. I didn't even notice the mishaps until the second time I watched the routine. They covered it up so well, which is what dancers should do. And the dancers were on time. They knew their counts and the technique was there. It was just the prop failed. And what made the routine even more touching is that during the performance, one of the Tiger girls was in front and she had a solo where the umbrella needed to be open. And one of the girls with the broken umbrella swapped umbrellas with her because she knew her solo was coming and she wanted to make sure she can slay her solo when she's in the front like that. And that almost brought a tear to my eye. Like, talk about sisterhood. And then to make it even more poetic, right after the competition, when the Tiger girls returned to Louisiana, it snowed in Louisiana. It snowed like kind of all over the South, but specifically it snowed in Louisiana. And some of the girls were doing their routine in the snow and it was just so cute and it just melted my heart. And I love that because even though the girls didn't place the way they wish they had, they still had fun with it. But anyways, going back to umbrellas and the use of props, in the dance world during the UDA competitions, using a prop is a very big risk due to the chance that it may malfunction. But the UDA needs to get rid of that because it makes the competition more interesting when teams decide to take a risk and try new and different things, such as using a prop for the routine. And don't get me wrong, this competition is literally the best competing against the best. So little mistakes can truly make the difference between first place and second place. But if the UDA and the competition as a whole want to continue to grow, they need to figure out a way to encourage these teams to take more risks like LSU did, because it makes it more interesting for the audience and people who follow the competition in general. Now, I think LSU should have gotten top 3, but they ended up placing 6th. But shout out to University of Nevada, Las Vegas, who placed first. It was very well deserved. They had an amazing and very intricate routine. The only read that I do have is University of Nevada, Las Vegas has a very West Coast style of hip hop, and I personally don't particularly care for that style, but I can recognize that they do it well and they are easily some of the best at their craft. An honorable mention to the University of Central Florida. Their routine was absolute fire. I watched it like 6 times. And ironically, they used a prop as well, but they only used their prop maybe in like the last 30 seconds of the song. And University of Central Florida placed 3rd, but I personally think they should have placed 2nd. They were beat out by San Diego State University, but they only lost by 0.34 of a point. And that just shows you how close it is in terms of getting 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Next is the jazz category. So Ohio State won for jazz and Minnesota got 2nd place. And this had people arguing. Like, a lot of people in the comments felt like Minnesota should have won over Ohio. But Minnesota apparently messed up a lift towards the end of the routine, but I didn't even see it. I'm still trying to figure out where Minnesota messed up the lift in the end of their routine. And sidebar, a lot of people do not like Ohio State. So I have a little bit of family in Ohio, and I know Michigan hates Ohio. Like, I know that. But when I was making this video and reading through the comments, there is just like a lot of random hate towards Ohio, and I don't understand why. If you're watching this video and you know why, please explain it in the comments, because like I was trying to figure out why this was happening in the comments and I couldn't figure it out. But either way, I thought Ohio State's win was very well deserved. For me, it came down to creativity, and Ohio State's routine was beyond creative. I had never seen a routine like that ever before. And the choreographer really took a risk with the movements, and I very much appreciated that. Minnesota did a beautiful routine and it was amazingly executed, but they did like a lyrical jazz type of routine, and it was supposed to be a funeral and it involved roses. And yes, the routine was very moving emotionally, but I feel like I've seen a lot of routines like this before. And not only that, a lot of teams did a like lyrical jazz type of routine. So Ohio State just stood out more because they didn't do like a lyrical jazz type of number. And this turned into like a greater question in the TikTok comments, because jazz is like an umbrella term for like a lot of different styles of dance, such as like funk, Broadway, lyrical, like it can encompass a lot of things. And this creates a problem for the competition, because oftentimes for these routines in the jazz category, you're comparing apples to oranges. And lastly, I want to talk about the pom category. Pom is a routine done with pom-poms. Yes, I know. Groundbreaking, right? And this year, the pom category was an absolute bloodbath. It was probably the toughest category. Literally just nonstop amazing pom routines. Minnesota's routine was absolutely insane, and the technique they have is just out of this world. At one point in their routine, they did a turn sequence without music, and you could just tell at that moment it was game over, and they were gonna win the #1 spot. The whole team hit those turns beautifully. They were fully in sync, and with like 30 people and no music, it was clear they had it in the bag. And that's all I got for the categories. Just one more thing I want to mention overall about the competition though. The song choices. I truly think that one of the reasons some of the teams stood out more than others was literally the song choice. There was a handful of amazing song choices, and at the same time, there was a plethora of mid-song choices. There were so many songs that were either just corny or overused. And like the majority of teams use mixes, but even the song choices within the mixes like left me kind of confused a lot of the time. And that's all I got for today's video. The UDA Nationals were so much fun to watch, and I very much enjoyed watching people argue in the comments as well. If you followed the UDA Nationals this year, put your thoughts below in the comments. I'm curious what other people thought about the competition. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and pound that like button, pound that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.
Who friendly, it turn into envy whenever they see that you shining. Okay, I'm back out fresh on the scene. Franchise